Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Morgan, and today we are going to be doing another Mechabreak Monday. So, finally, Mechabreak has dropped their Season 1.5 update. So, we are going to be going through some of the new content that came out and just kind of give my take on everything, because I have some things I really want to talk about, especially when it comes to the monetization of the game. But as of right now, I am still planning on getting out the Jade Eddy Best of Horror Part 2 out at some point this weekend. That's the plan. If something comes up for work, like a meeting, or if we, for some reason have to spend extra time there, over the weekend, which doesn't normally happen, but once in a while it might, then I'll let you guys know via Twitter if, that's going to be coming out this weekend or not. But that is currently the plan. But without further ado, let's just get right into this. So with the new season of Mechabreak, a few things happened. So we got a new premium striker, being, if I'm correct, her name is Rory. She is a 19-year-old pilot who pilots Welkin, and the Welkin custom has like that Corite kind of effects to it in terms of its maneuverability and stuff, which fits with the season's theme. I do find it interesting that the pilot does have like cybernetic, like robot legs, so I'm very interested in the lore of that. And that's another thing we'll talk about too, is like I've started creating lore for my character. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit too, just because I think it's fun to create lore for characters, and a game like Mechabreak, that's a big part of it. And I've even been active in their Discord about it as well. But yeah, so that is like one of the major add-ons. They also added in a new Halloween set, which incorporates a jetpack, a tail, a little side accessory for your character to wear on their hip, a new outfit, and a new helmet, which is like a pumpkin, like a ghost pumpkin. So I did buy some of the outfit. I bought the pumpkin head, I bought the outfit itself, and I bought the jetpack because I thought it was really cool, right? And I don't really have a cool jetpack, and it's going to take me forever to earn the Valkyrie wings based upon my work schedule and such, so I said, why not buy one? My issue with Mechabreak right now is monetization, okay? Mechabreak as a game overall is fun, the gameplay is fluid, right? But their monetization is so terrible. We're still having to pay almost $60 for a premium pilot. I know it's like $48, but still, that's really egregious, and it shouldn't be that high. So that's the first thing. The second thing, having a Halloween set is really cool, but when the whole set costs like $70, that's a problem, right? And I think anybody can agree with that. So my biggest complaint is on the shop. It's too expensive, and why do we have to wait a whole week before the shop puts new items in for hairstyles and stuff? My shop, I feel like, has been on rotation, giving me the same products week after week. And I remember in the beta, there's a specific hairstyle. It's like a him cut hairstyle, which is what Morgan Ainsland has. And it was in the beta, and it's still yet to come out the full game, and I really want it badly. And it's a problem, though, the fact that it takes us a whole week to get a store refresh. So when it comes to monetization right now, it's kind of pissing me off, and it's something that they could easily fix. And the second thing being, they need to make the store rotations happen more often. So when it comes to the monetization side of things, that's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. So outside of the monetization of everything, I'm still very good with the game. I've been grinding it pretty extensively since I got back from my work trip. I'm currently in Master 5, close to Master 4. This weekend I'm going to grind it more again. I'm gonna buy the tier protection cards that are available in the Matrix Selection shop. But I might actually surpass Masters this time around, which would be cool. But I still think I'm not gonna be able to get to like a highest level. I don't have the time to put into the game to get that good. But if I can get above Master, I can't remember if it's General or Grandmaster after that, then I'd be fine with that. I feel completely, perfectly satisfied with that. But yeah, so overall, like I said, I normally am a Falcon main, so it's kind of hard for me to talk about other strikers and like how they feel. But overall, one thing I will say is like I feel like Tricera was buffed again, because there was a period there where Tricera seemed to be very weak in terms of taking damage. And it seems like they buffed Tricera again. Welkin seems to be buffed again, probably because that's the premium striker currently, if I had to guess. So, and remember, this isn't like patch notes per se, it's more like how it feels to me when dealing with certain strikers or playing as certain strikers. I have changed up to using more strikers recently, but that's also because I got Cannon from the Matrix selections. Like once you hit 100,000 mission tokens, you can buy her and the Narukami type S. So she's been really fun to play with. I'm probably going to main her in Mashmock though, as opposed to Verge, because I'm a terrible sniper in Verge. But I think in Mashmock, she's very useful, especially for damage. But she's a really cool, addition, and I've enjoyed playing her. Right now I have everything unlocked that I want to. I have all the weapons that I want. I have her, I have the background. The only thing I need to get are the cards for like the base, and that's really about it. But I heard that they're kind of lackluster this time, which sucks. I'm personally looking forward to the gun range when that comes to Mechabreak. If I had to assume, it'd be next season. And I'm interested to see what goes on in the gun range. That one I'm genuinely curious about. But let's kind of talk about making up Mechabreak lore, right? And when I go into this, right, I'm making all this canon up in my head for my character, but I wanted to share it with you guys because I think if I'm going to do a Mechabreak Monday and talking about like the content they added in, which realistically this time is like a Halloween outfit or outfit set, a new premium striker and pilot, and ultimately that's really it. I mean, there's some balance changes and stuff. One thing that I still don't understand is how the base and Mashmock have like a latency or lag issue. Every time I play Mechabreak, I am lagging in Mashmock or I'm lagging in my base, where there will be this period of time where I have no control over my character, and it's a problem. So they really need to fix that as well. That's another major fix that they need. But ultimately, I am excited about getting into the lore though, and kind of talking about my character, because I feel like as I flesh out the story, and the plan is for me is when a new season comes out, to incorporate the real lore of the season or cosmetics or whatever to my character. But without further ado, let me give you the rundown lore of my character so far. So my character in the world of Mechabreak is also goes by the name Morgan, right? So essentially Morgan, after the events of the prologue where like you learn how to use it, striker, Elysinus and whatnot, Morgan has this corporation known as Ainsland Corp, right? And she essentially signs on with Shadow to help them do their military operations and, core right, recon missions, etc., into, the zone where Mashmock takes place. And in exchange, she wants to get a bunch of core right from Shadow whenever they acquire it, right? Like they essentially give her some in her private corporation, some of it. And so she ends up going on these missions, and eventually she gets trapped inside of a Korite pulse storm. And she ends up surviving the Korite pulse storm, even though it like consumes her and her striker. And when she gets back to the base, they take her into the med bay and discover that instead of the Korite, taking over her striker and taking over her and killing her essentially, she actually was able to absorb the Korite and manipulate it, infusing it into her own striker. So she has the ability to manipulate and infuse Korite into whatever she wants, right? And on top of this, there was a secret file found in her shadow room by Christian, and it talks about a Project Mackay. For those of you that play Darkstalkers, you know Mackay is the realm that Morgan Ainsland comes from. Now, this version of the Mackay world is not the same as Darkstalkers. It's not a demon world per se, but Morgan is dubbed the Queen of Korite by the scientists that work at Shadow because she's able to manipulate Korite and even just have it in her body, and it doesn't control her or destroy her. It's abnormally weird, right? And this puts Christian on edge because she's a shadowy benefactor, if you will, getting Korite samples from Shadow and using it for this quote-unquote Project Mackay. Now, Morgan eventually is in the med bay. She grows a pair of what they are dubbed as by the medical science team, bone wings, obviously the new cosmetic that came out, right? And so she's also infused Korite into Rory's Welkin. So the Welkin having like that Korite looking, like I said, like effects on it. In my lore, Morgan is the one that put that into her mech, right? She's using Korite and manipulating it, putting it into mechs and even into her own Falcon mech to essentially enhance the capabilities in terms of damage, speed, resistance, especially during Korite pulse storms. And while the Shadow medical and research teams of all the science divisions look at this as like a huge breakthrough in, how to study Korite, how they could incorporate it into weaponry and stuff, Christian is very concerned about Morgan and what her ulterior motives are. She's a very skilled pilot, very determined. Her corporation is extremely wealthy, but why? Why is all this happening, right? Like, why does she care about Korite? And the fact that she can control and manipulate Korite and give herself bone wings, which was dubbed as a mutation, but in Christian's eyes, he's like, well, she made that on purpose. Like, she created that. So Christian ends up sending Cannon and Leone. I might be butchering the names of these characters, but sends basically the Narukani pilot, Ace pilot, and the Falcon Ace pilot out on a recon mission to figure out what Project Ainsland is, because the coordinates of that project is in the files. So the only teaser that I can give you about where this story is going with Morgan is basically Morgan is playing good guy. That is basically how I'm gonna lay it out. More like, it's very clear if you're listening to the lore that Morgan doesn't have this good guy lore, if you will. She's very shady. Like, she's doing stuff for Shadow, yes, the good guys, if you will. But at the same time, while that's the case, she's not a good guy herself, right? Like, she, like I said, can manipulate Korite and, basically turn it into whatever she wants. And there's already existing lore, like Korite taking over strikers and, the pilots within them, right? Essentially, like, infusing them together. And Korite seems to, like, corrupt things as if, like, it's a parasite, right? Like, it gets into things and takes over, so it's sentient in a way. So some of these ideas of, like, sentient life with the Korite being a parasite and stuff like that. Like, that is where the lore is going to be leaning more into going forward. And I can't wait to really flesh out my character more. But my character is not a good guy. Playing as a good guy, yes. Actually a good guy, definitely not. That much of is the spoiler that I can give you, okay? That's about as much. But I am looking very forward to expanding on this lore in the future and talking to you guys about it. I think Mechabreak Monday will be like, okay, we're going to talk about some things that I noticed, some of the new, features or new cosmetics or whatever, and then I'll just talk about my personal lore because it's fun and it's interesting. And Mechabreak doesn't have a definitive lore for your character, so it's fun to use the cosmetics, in-game events, and established lore that's there already to come up with your character's own story. And with someone like Morrigan, you have to make her powerful, and you gotta make her a big deal. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all that I have for you guys in this Mechabreak Monday. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to get that J-Daddy Best of Horror Part 2 up by the end of the weekend. If I cannot, I will be sure to let you guys know on X, but so far that is the plan. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next one.